Good morning, Facebook world. I just wanted to give you a quick message this morning to maybe help out your weekend and some thoughts to kind of think about. Being that it's almost Christmas, everybody's thinking about Christmas time and thinking back to maybe different family traditions and Christmases of the past. I know myself, of all the Christmases that I remember being a kid, probably when I was about 8 years old, that was the one that sticks out in my mind the most. All I wanted that year was a G.I. Joe Rolling Thunder. Look them up online. They're really, really cool. Probably the coolest toy of all time. But I remember that's what I wanted. I wanted a G.I. Joe Rolling Thunder for Christmas. And that Christmas morning, I remember getting up, coming into the living room, and there in front of the Christmas tree, all set up, the missiles pointing upward, G.I. Joe out in front, was my G.I. Joe Rolling Thunder. And I was stoked about it. I was excited to get that gift. And being a kid, I always enjoyed Christmas time, the anticipation, the wonder, the excitement. It was a time of hope. It was a time of, great joy as you're thinking about spending time with the family and what kind of gifts you're going to get and even what gifts you're going to give. As a kid, Christmas time is wonderful because you're not thinking about the things you think about as an adult. You're not thinking about, the bills. You're not thinking about the family drama that comes along with Christmas. Or even in a bigger picture, you're not thinking about, political unrest or your future health or all those other things that you worry about as an adult. As a kid at Christmas time, you're just thinking about you, Santa, presents, family, and fun. But as I grew older, I've noticed that I've kind of always tried to get those feelings back. It seems like as you move from childhood and it's Christmas time, you're always trying to grasp back at those feelings that you had as a child during the holidays. And I know that time after time again, I found myself at Christmas time saying something along the lines of, it just doesn't feel like Christmas this year. Have you ever said anything like that? It just doesn't feel like Christmas anymore. And I think probably all of us, even though we don't maybe verbalize it, we're always thinking, well, Christmas back in the 80s when I was a kid, it was so much better back then. Or Christmas back in whatever decade was your childhood. That was the decade that represented what Christmas was all about. It's easy for us, I think, to fall into the trap of thinking that the past was always better and perfect and that it's only the present that has problems. But let me tell you the truth. The truth is, those same problems that cause us stress right now were around back then. Maybe there's really no such thing as the good old days after all. And I think I can prove that to you from the Bible. Over in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, you have King Solomon kind of on a quest for meaning and purpose in life. He's rich, he's wealthy, he's the king, he's powerful, but he's not happy. He feels like his life is meaningless. The key word of the book is vanity or futility. The idea is vanity of vanity. Life is just vain. It's futile. There's no point to it, is what Solomon is saying. Now, he's kind of being a Debbie Downer in the book, but here's one of the points that he makes in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 8 through 10. It reads, "The end of the matter is better than the beginning. Patience of spirit is better than haughtiness of spirit. Do not be eager in your heart to be angry, for anger resides in the bosom of fools. Do not say, why is it that the former days were better than these?" Hear what he says? He says, do not say that basically the past was better. He says, for it's not about wisdom that you ask these things. It's futile for us to always look back. The past is over. Sorry, it is. You can't change what has happened in the past, and you can't necessarily relive it. You can't go through life trying to cling to maybe the feelings of the past. I know I mentioned it kind of, just in passing, but this idea of, well, I want Christmas to feel like it did when I was a kid, it's never going to. Because you're not a kid anymore. You've moved past that time. You can't change what has taken place in the past, and you can't really relive it. So my encouragement to all of us today is this. Instead of looking back, look ahead. Look ahead to what you can change. The good you can do in the future or the good you can even do today. See, you can change that. You can't change the past, but you can change the future. Instead, don't live in the past. Make the most of every day and tomorrow. Thanks for listening this morning. Have a blessed weekend.